Assalamualaikum and hi. I am Shazana Zahra binti Zainat and this is
And I am Ali binti Afan.
and we are Islamic girls. We are going to share with you about Islamic garden.
Let's
go. I will start with introduction about Islamic garden. Before Islam had expanded to other climate, these gardens were historically used to provide respite from a hot and arid environment. They encompass a wide variety of forms and purpose which no longer exists. The Quran has many references to garden and state that gardens are used an earthly analog for the life in paradise, which is promised to believers. Allah has promised to believing men and the believing women gardens beneath which river flow to abide in them, and goodly dwellings in garden of perpetual abode. And best of all is our goodly pleasure, that is the grand achievement. The history of Islamic garden traces its roots to a rich blend of Persian influence and local tradition across various regions of the Islamic Empire. Early Islamic gardens can be traced back to 7th century during Umayyad Caliphate, where spatial organization derived from earlier Persian gardens began to merge with Islamic theology.
So, for the Islamic garden concept, is all Islamic garden on earth are to a certain extent both of a forested and a mirror of the paradise garden as described in the Al-Quran, the Jannah al-Firdaus. Jannah is meaning by garden and Firdaus is meaning by paradise. So, the concept of Islamic gardens is much more a mere horticulture endeavor. It encapsulates diverse historical, narrative, and cultural expression that have evolved through centuries. In a world where urban landscape often overshadow natural beauty, the Islamic garden serves as a reminder of man's quest for harmony with nature and spirituality. Understanding this garden requires an exploration of their design element, symbolism, and philosophical ideals they embody.
I will present the historical timeline of Islamic garden. First, Islamic gardens start from pre-Islamic Persian gardens before 7th century. These were known as paradise gardens, which are include space with water, walls, and shade. You can refer to UNESCO for this. Next, during the early Islamic period, on 7th until 10th century, gardens were built in courtyard and palace. This is when the concept of Jannah and paradise was introduced into garden design, reference from the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Then, in the Persian and Abbasid period, on 10th until 30th century, the Chaharbagh layout was developed, dividing the garden into 4 parts with strong geometry and symmetry. After that, during the Mughal Empire on 16th until 18th century, Islamic garden reached their peak. They become larger and more decorative with terraces, fountains, and strong symmetry. A famous example is Shalimar Garden. At the same time, Islamic gardens spread to Spain as Andalusian or Moorish gardens on 13th until 15th century. This garden focused on courtyard design, cooling system, and decorative tiles. An example is Alhambra. Last but not least, in the modern era, on 20th until 21st century, Islamic gardens are redesigned with modern elements, sustainability, and Islamic geometry.
Now, for Islamic garden element, it has 4: water, fruit and flower plants, shade, and geometric layout. So, for the first one is water. Water is one of the most important elements in Islamic garden because it has 3 main functions: practical, religious, and aesthetic. Practically, water is essential for life. Religiously, in Islam, water is used for purification, ablution before worship as stated in the Al-Quran. In terms of design, water also represented paradise, where gardens are described as having flowing rivers. That is why Islamic gardens often include ponds, fountains, and water channels.
Next, the second of element in Islamic garden is fruit and flower plant. A garden full of colorful flowers is certainly common. However, the uniqueness of the garden, the Islamic style, is the presence of fruit trees. This also aims to illustrate a paradise that is aimed to be full of delicious fruits that are easy to pick. I have, for example, 2 of flowers and 2 of fruits. The first one is hollyhock, that a flower Aloysia rosea. The second one is jasmine. For the fruit is first one is pomegranate and the second one is apricot.
Now, for the third element in Islamic garden is shade. Many Muslim countries are in hot and dry regions such as Arabian Peninsula and North Africa. Because of this, shade is an important element in Islamic gardens. Trees like palms, cypress, and fruit trees are planted to provide a cool and comfortable space. Structures such as pergolas, arcades, and walls also create a shade. Shade is often combined with water features like fountains and canals to make the area cooler. It also has a spiritual meaning, representing place and idea of paradise Jannah, which is described as a cool and pleasant place.
For the last element in Islamic garden is geometric layout. Geometric layout is an important element of Islamic garden. The design is often symmetrical with straight path and balanced shapes such as squares or rectangles. This can be seen in the Chaharbagh garden style, where the space is divided into 4 equal parts. For the Islamic garden design function Islamic garden design is based on Persian garden tradition, influenced by religion, Quran, and Hadith climate theory. Early designs are similar to ancient Persian gardens. After Islam spread on 8th century, the design changed from a private gardens into a public and complex garden. Influenced by local culture and Muslim rules but still keep basic Persian elements, the concept is based on Tawheed, oneness of God. Design is inspired by Quranic verse about paradise. The key idea is garden reflects spiritual meaning paradise, emphasize harmony, unity, and divine order. In general, landscape used in an Islamic garden, landscape elements are carefully arranged to create a space that is functional, aesthetic, and spiritually meaningful. The design is not random, it reflects harmony, balance, and the idea of paradise described in Islamic teachings. For the first one, water features. The second one is planting, a shade tree for comfort, fragrant flower for sensory experience. For the third, geometry and layout. The garden often follow a symmetrical layout divided into a section using the path or a water channel. For the fourth, pathway in circulation, straight and organized walkway guide movement that encourage reflection and calm walking. For the number 5 is enclosure, usually enclosed for the privacy and protection that help create a peaceful, inward-focused environment. And the last one is shade and structure that provide rest area and protection from sun and enhance comfort in hot climates.
Now is for the type of Islamic garden. There are 4 types in the Islamic garden, which is Chabah garden. Now, for the second is Mughal garden. Next is courtyard Riyadh garden. And for the last one is Persian garden, a tradition. Now we move on to the Islamic garden around the world. The example is Mughal garden in Amberfort, Jaipur, Rajasthan, India. It's a stunning 10th century star-shaped 4-part garden, Chabas, located within the third courtyard of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. Now, next for the second one is Emirates Palace Mandarin Oriental in Abu Dhabi. It's featuring meticulously landscape garden over 8,000 trees and sparkling fountains. The garden serves as a scenic natural counterpoint to the dramatic gold-infused architecture of the palace itself, offering a quiet green retreat on the cornice.
Another Islamic garden around the world is Masjid Al-Bukhari at Al-Usta, Kedah. They feature a central courtyard garden surrounded by buildings and palm trees arranged in a balanced layout. And lastly is Alhambra in Granada, Spain, a stunning UNESCO World Heritage Site in Granada, Spain, acting as a sprawling hilltop fortress palace complex, famous for its intricate Islamic architecture.
So, for the conclusion of Islamic garden are designed as a peaceful symbolic spaces that reflect the concept of paradise in Islam, often inspired by description in the Al-Quran. They emphasize harmony, between humans and nature through elements such as water, courtyard, flower and fruits, shade, and many geometry decoration.
The use of symmetry and structure design represent order and unity, while water features symbolize life, purity, and spiritual renewal. Overall, Islamic gardens are not only aesthetically pleasing but also serve as a place for reflection, relaxation, and connection to spirituality. That's all from us about Islamic garden.
Thank you.